What is up, YouTube? Live via satellite here, and today we are talking Kingdom. And in particular, guys, today we are talking the final three great heavens. Now, before we get started, guys, this video is not for you if you are not caught up with the most recent chapters of Kingdom, okay? Most recent being chapter 627. So if you aren't up to that point, do not watch this video, wait till you're caught up, then come back. You've been warned. Okay guys, so I wanted to make this video because now we not only have one, but two vacant seats in the three great heavens. Now, a long time ago, I started to think that Hoken wasn't going to die this arc. And the reason being was because I thought that in the end, once Zhoa was finally defeated, they would be defeated at their full strength. And what I mean by that is that they'd have all three of the seats for the great heavens filled. And my original final three great heavens consisted of Hoken, Shibasho, and Raboku. But with Hoken recently being slain by Shin, that pretty much threw a monkey wrench in that idea. So even though Hoken obviously isn't going to make the final cut, I still do think that all three seats will be filled. And to be honest, I surprisingly think that this next group of the three great heavens might even be better than the one that would have included Hoken anyway. I mean, let's be honest, Hoken was pretty much just a one-trick pony. He was pretty much a token general. I mean, think about the last time you've seen him in one of the strategy meetings, right? Yeah, never. Hoken pretty much only did what he felt like doing, you know what I'm saying? So he wasn't really that much of a benefit in the overall scheme of the battle. I mean, he could decide just not to show up if he chose to. So although Hoken brought a lot of military might to the battlefield for Zhoa, there's more to war than just being strong, right? So I think the next set's going to be a lot better because as you can see, Raboku really didn't have too much help. To the one side of him, he has a chair that's yet to be filled, and to the other, he has someone like Hoken, who for the most part is just like a wild card. So how much stronger would Zhoa's forces be if Raboku actually had two capable people on his level to the left and right of him? And I think we all know the answer to that. Zhoa would once again be just as scary as they were, and just as powerful as they were when the original three great heavens existed. So in filling these seats, guys, let's start out with the obvious two, and that is actually Raboku and Shibasho. I've already talked a lot in depth about these two, but just briefly if you're new, the reason I'm putting Raboku in here is because I don't think he's going to die after this arc, and I could be dead wrong, but I think something actually is going to happen to the king if anything. After which, Shibasho, who we already know is on the level of a three great heaven, will have no problem fighting for Zhoa because he's pretty similar to Renpa, and the only reason he's not fighting for Zhoa right now is because of their king. So with him out of the way, it kind of opens the path for him to be able to fight for Zhoa. But surprisingly, guys, this final seat is a tricky one because there are a lot of guys who could actually slot into this seat. Just from this current battle alone, we have people like Kishui and Bananji, who even though they weren't too impressive this arc, were still very highly touted when they were introduced. Remember, Kishui was called a hidden talent by Raboku, and Bananji is literally considered a demon to the Zhongnu. So maybe we only scratched the surface of these guys' talents and there's more yet to come, but the person I thought that stood out the most in this battle and seemed able and capable of making his own decisions and not kind of depending on Raboku was actually Sun Suiju. There's still a whole lot we have to learn about him. We've never really found out why he was called the Orphan of the North. We really still haven't seen him fight at all yet, but we did learn that he is pretty intelligent. And I don't know, just see him in this arc so far, he doesn't seem like he would be too far behind someone like Keisha. And he was actually very close at one point to filling the last seat for the three great heavens. But when looking at this final seat, we also want to acknowledge some characters we haven't seen in a while. In particular, one character by the name of Gakujo. Now, Gakujo is an interesting character because we don't see much of him. In fact, we only seen him once in the story. And the one time we see him, he's being defeated by Renpa. But even still, he had a lot of different things going for him. For one, even though he was defeated by Renpa, I think he was kind of fighting him half-heartedly because he really didn't want to fight someone who he considered like a friend. And at the time of the battle, he was considered the second best general in Zhoa, only second to Renpa, who many people thought he actually had surpassed. And considering that he's a great general, I think it's just interesting that we haven't seen him in a while. But there's a possibility that he reappears even stronger than he was when he fought Renpa, because after Renpa defeated him, instead of killing him, he told him to keep growing. So maybe that motivates him to come back even better and reach for that final seat. But I have to admit, when it comes down to this final seat, I would actually rather it be a brand new character altogether. In this current arc, we finally got to learn a little more about the previous generation of the Three Great Heavens, in particular with Rinsojo. And not only did we learn about him, but we also learned about his vassals like Chogaryu and Gyun. So I wouldn't mind if the final Three Great Heavens actually was associated in some way with Chosha, who is the only one of the previous generation that we've yet to learn a thing about. I just think it would be a nice way to bring everything together. And even though there's no evidence at all, I really hope that the final character that I talk about in this video actually has this connection. Because if I had to put my money on it, this guy for sure would be the last of the Three Great Heavens. And I saved him for the end because even though he's an unknown character, there's still a lot to talk about here. And his name is Kocho, the guardian deity of the royal capital. Alright, so we have very little to go on when it comes to this character, but there are a lot of clues suggesting that this guy is probably a top tier general. And the very first one is that when Chin's invading and Roboku's getting reports that the Chin are going all out, they bought not only Osen, but also Kanki and Yotanwa, and to boot over 200,000 men, pretty much the biggest invasion he's ever had to deal with. And the first person that comes to mind is General Kocho. For Roboku to think of him that quickly when he's going up against such a major threat, that can only mean that he sees him as very, very talented and powerful. It's really just that simple. If you know you're about to go up against their best, then you're obviously going to want to bring out your heavy hitters too. The second clue is just how shocked Kane and Fute are about Roboku's request. And I know that's kind of an iffy one because people in Kingdom are often shocked, but this shock is a little different because you could tell Kane's surprised that Roboku would even request this. The way she's talking about him coming west like this, it feels like it's a little bit of a taboo thing, like this isn't something that Roboku should be doing under normal circumstances. The main reason I think being is because this is someone whose job it is to protect the king. So if Roboku's willing to go that far, then the situation has to be serious. Another thing you can look at is just his name, period. To call somebody the guardian deity of the royal capital, I mean, it pretty much says it all. Just the word deity alone means god or goddess. So you mean to tell me that they're pretty much calling this guy a god and he's not going to be expected to be someone who's a top tier general? Not to mention the fact that one of the biggest clues that this guy is powerful is that he's serving in Kantan. Just take a second and think about that. The king only cares about himself and only cares about his own security, right? And we've already seen this firsthand when he wouldn't send any of the elite troops to help Roboku. To me, it's obvious that he's going to have the strongest and best people protecting him. Honestly, and I know this may sound like a stretch to some people, I would not be surprised if Kocho wound up being stronger, or at least as strong as Hoken. And the shame of all this, at least from Roboku's perspective, is that having someone that strong and having an army full of elite troops like that, this battle on the Shukai Plains really shouldn't have been that big a deal for them. But because the king doesn't want to listen to any rational advice and pretty much doesn't care, Roboku's gonna wind up having to take another L. But on the bright side, if the Three Great Heavens does wind up being filled out, then Roboku for the first time in this series will actually have competent help with him. And we'll see what a combination of Roboku, Shibasho, and possibly Kocho can bring to the table. But that about does it, guys, for this video. Let me know if there are any other characters that you think I missed, or anyone else you think who could fill these other two seats of the Three Great Heavens. As long as, of course, it isn't Fute, alright? Now, I know he said he wanted to be the Three Great Heavens, but come on, let's be serious. There would have to be a major time skip for him to even be able to reach that goal. So anyway, guys, please leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and feel free to share, comment, and subscribe. Peace out.